Hello YouTube, I am the Gray Mystic, also known as Nathan, and in today's video we're going to discuss the question, is Rey's spontaneous awakening in The Force Awakens something that can actually happen in mysticism? Whether it's gray, light, dark, occult, whatever you want to call it, is that possible? If you'd like to know the answer to that, stay tuned. Spontaneous awakening. In The Force Awakens, Rey has a phenomenal awakening experience where she remembers her Force powers, her connection to the Force, and she's easily able to operate seamlessly and allow the Force to take over. Is this something that is possible? Is it realistic within the confines of mystic understanding? I will contend it is. It is something that we have experienced many times with other people, and it is also something that we've heard many stories of ourselves. Spontaneous awakening happens when one Force user is in contact with a regular person that does not have access to the Force. But their higher self, their higher them, has been a master in previous lifetimes. They have experienced the ability to use the Force in one way or another in previous lifetimes. And at least in this lifetime, they have done enough work, not necessarily all the work necessary, but enough work so that when they come into contact with this other Force user, whether it is a light, dark, or gray mystic, it doesn't matter. A dark mystic can awaken a light mystic. A light can awaken a dark. A gray can awaken any of them. It doesn't matter who is who in this case. It's just the access to the Force. So in the movie, The Force Awakens, when Kylo Ren was probing and doing Force probing into the mind of Rey, he was actually extending the Force into her so that he could manipulate her. This was a double-edged sword, because it ended up cutting him, because it actually awakened her to the Force. She felt the familiarity of the Force, and she was able to have a spontaneous awakening. This is possible. It does happen. It can even happen on a mass scale. Hundreds upon hundreds have actually been experiencing this at this very time in human history. Lots of people are spontaneously awakening to the Force. Who they are on a higher level is becoming a reality now in the material realm as well. The veil is being lifted and they are experiencing a spontaneous awakening. Now what this means in Gray Mysticism is that they now have access to all their previous experiences in past lifetimes, whether these past lifetimes were in other universes, other galaxies, other planets, or here on this planet. A past life does not necessarily mean that it is a past life here on this planet. It could be on any planet. So a mystic that has a spontaneous awakening achieved a similar form of mastery, especially on this planet though, because this planet has its own unique sets of rules compared to other planets. And because of that, it might be a little bit more difficult. So achieving some form of mastery in this lifetime here means that you have probably experienced mastery in a past lifetime here, at least if you're having a spontaneous awakening. Now, if you've never been to this planet, a spontaneous awakening is probably not going to happen, because you have to learn the rules of this planet. You have to learn the rules of this universe before you can actually do that. You have to integrate your knowledge with the knowledge characteristics of this specific universe, because there are different universes that have different rule sets. So a spontaneous awakening is not going to happen for somebody that is their first time in this universe, or in probably less likely also if there has not been a previous incarnation and experience of mastery on this planet. So interestingly enough, this access to past lifetimes equals balance. What happens when you spontaneously awaken is you're spontaneously balanced, because balance equals mastery, mastery equals balance. When you achieve a form of neutrality, whatever your soul disposition is, whether it's gray, dark, or light, or also occult, the dark occultists, which are neutral evil, when you balance, when you actually align your body, your subconscious mind, with your superconscious mind, then when this alignment happens, you have a spontaneous, or you have awakening that seems spontaneous. Now, it could be something that's drawn out over years, if you really are working towards it and integrating and removing contradictions, or it's something that can happen relatively fast. In most cases, though, it happens when you come into contact with another Force user, somebody who is a mystic who already has access to their past experiences, their past lifetimes. With this being said, I have talked in a previous video about mastery and how true neutral and neutral evil, where gray is true neutral and neutral evil is the occultist, they are either fully internalized as the gray or fully externalized as the neutral evil. Now, the light and the dark, what kind of neutrality can they get? What kind of balance can they get where they actually also experience this shift, also known as the grand shift? Well, what happens is once they fully internalize their darkness and externalize their light, as in the case of the dark side user, they will embody. Once a light being fully internalizes their light side and fully externalizes their dark side, they will embody. That means that they have a form of neutrality. The neutrality is that they are full light and externalized darkness, or full darkness and externalized light. But remember, the true neutral, they have fully internalized both light and dark, and the neutral evil, the occultists, have fully externalized light and dark. So they are a more powerful version of balance because they have light and dark inside of them, or in the dark occultist case, outside of them. This is why the light and the dark mystics aren't as powerful, though, because they still have 50% external. Now, they are fully balanced, as in they really have externalized all of their light. They have really externalized all of their dark. But they are not both dark and light. So that is why they are less powerful than the occultists, and that is why they're less powerful as the empowered Gray Jedi. One more thing about this type of balance. When you have fully externalized your light, you're a dark being, and you fully externalized your light, you do not believe in any way, shape, or form that the light is a part of you, that it is you in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, you will have enemies that will bring it up to you. They will reflect it back to you. You will need now a light side user to combat you, to have conflict with you, to show you your light side. Because our experiences with these external others are a reflection of ourselves. So in this type of balance, there will be conflict. The light and the dark will fight each other. They will conflict with each other because they have fully externalized the other. That means they have to fight. They have to be at war with each other. Now, the kind of war that the gray mystic and the true neutral are in is a little bit different. And we'll go into that in a different video because that is probably a long story. That is not something that will just, can be crystallized in a nutshell. But it is not the same kind of conflict that you see the light and the dark going at, because they have externalized. Now they will have that external aspect of themselves, because honestly, the dark side user, the full dark side embodied person who is awakened to their force powers, to their past life memories, etc., their light is externalized from them, but it is still a part of them. The light is them. They just don't want to believe it is them, and so they have externalized that part of them. So that's why they will now have conflict with light side users. And that's also why light side users will have conflict with dark side users, because they do not want to believe that the darkness is actually inside of them. They perceive it as outside of them, and then it has to be reflected back to them by the dark side. That is how it works. So that is balance for light and dark, where in previous videos we talked about balance for gray and neutral evil, or the occultists. Lastly, as a refresher, spontaneous awakenings are possible for any of the four force dispositions once balance is achieved. This means that the gray and the occultist takes longer than the dark side or the light side, because you have to internalize all or externalize all. It is a really difficult process to fully externalize all of your light and dark. It is a very difficult process to internalize all of your light and dark. It is an arduous, long time-consuming process. Now, even if you have done it and achieved that in previous lifetimes, it is still going to take time. Now, we're coming up into a unique time in history where we're going to start seeing a lot more spontaneous awakenings, people awakening to their Force powers. That's probably why all the superhero movies are out there, why the Star Wars movies have been catching on so strongly, is because of this level of what is about to happen. It is a reflection. It is a precursor. It is showing us where we are headed. And some people might call that predictive programming, and maybe some of it is where they're trying to control it and steer it in a certain direction. Hollywood and the dark occultists are trying to steer our awakening to their goals, to their ends. They want us having superhero fights in the streets. They want us having light and dark duels in the streets. They want to see that because they want us to be irresponsible so that they can take our responsibility for us and then control us with it. But really what needs to happen is we need to start integrating. I feel like this is an opportunity for us to take back our power and to fully become integrated, to fully become gray, so that the light side and the dark side users, they can also come back on this path of neutrality. They don't have to fully externalize into this evil. They can, to the neutral evil. They can internalize into the gray. They can find that balance in a new way, a powerful way. It is obviously our perception that the gray Jedi is even more powerful than the occultists. The occultists have to use secrecy. They have to have an agenda. They have to plan out over a long period of time because they have to do that. They have to coordinate. They have to put in intensive amounts of care into their agenda because the light side, the dark side, and the grays are just too difficult to handle without them preparing for that long. Hopefully this cleared up some of the confusion around what balance is, how balance and neutrality is mastery, and that there are different forms of balance to be found. I am the Gray Mystic. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Wishing you a wonderful day. Be well.